Well, hello, dear listeners. Welcome to Achtung, Millwall. My name is Nick Hart. You're listening to the number one Millwall podcast, and that piece of very unusual, brilliant piece of music is called No One Likes Us by an artist called Helen McCookerybook, which is a superb name. I came across it following a message from a relation of one of our Millwall fans who sadly recently passed away. Came across it at the weekend because they wanted to use that piece of music in connection with the funeral tribute to Fred Hicks. And when I heard the name Fred Hicks, it rang a bell for me, because Fred was one of our old No One Likes Us and CBL subscribers when I used to do the fanzine. So I put two and two together when I heard the chap's name was Fred and Fred Hicks. And the reason that it was unusual was that Fred was based in Grimsby, which always struck me as a very unusual spot for a Millwall fan to be based. And Fred was a character, Millwall character. He once wrote me a letter when I was editing No One Likes Us, I think it was. We'd had a bit of a to-do, as you might put it, over the editorial direction of the fanzine. And Fred wrote to me a really old school handwritten letter telling me about his life following the Lions. He'd been at the fan from I think he said the 1930s, which sounds plausible when I contacted Ads, who's his grandson. I'm trying to find out, more details about the piece of music because they wanted to use it for the funeral. So I just wanted to begin today's show with a few details about Fred Hicks that Ads has sent through to me. I want to send and I'm sure everybody's condolences to the Hicks family for their loss. But this was a life well lived. So I'm just going to read the details sent to me by his grandson. As I've said already, Fred was based in Grimsby, and it always struck me as it's one of the things that really struck me, with the whole subscriber list, was where people lived from following the Lions. But Fred Hicks was born in 1930 in Bromley by Bow, as put it here, within the sound of the Bow Bells. He was the son of a dock worker. He lived on the Isle of Dogs in Stebbindale Street until he was evacuated from the area during World War II. Blitz, a kid. He started going to games at Coldblow Lane, first with his dad just before the war. So yes, 1930s, wow. And then again, after returning from evacuation, he went to Grimsby when he joined the Air Force after the war, and met his wife, Eleanor, who came from Grimsby, and he eventually settled up there to raise a family. He had four children, 2 boys and 2 girls, and now a grand total of 9 grandchildren. Fred never lost his London accent and always took much pleasure in teaching as much rhyming slang to the local Grimsby-ites and his family as he could. Real character, like I've said already. I've very much got a sense of proper old school Millwall personality when I got the letter from him. He said, it says here that he had a whole room in his house in Grimsby dedicated to Mill history, which included a lot of team photos and even one of the chairs from the last game at the Den. In the front of the garden, they had a piece of turf from that last home game. Everyone had a bit of turf from that game, Ed, and a plaque to commemorate it. Where the family could, they'd take him back to games back at the Den, and also to some of the northern away games as well. He tells a funny story here when this was on Ads' 8th birthday, so he's 8 years old. He was a mascot for Grimsby Town versus Millwall, and the family got free tickets in the family stand of Grimsby. Now, Fred was a Millwall fan and was not scared to let anyone know it either. And a few of the local Grimsby fans took exception to a Cockney being in the town, and he was told to sod off into the away end. At which point the Grimsby stewards paraded in front of the fans, and he was escorted into the Millwall end, followed by boos from Grimsby and massive cheers from the Millwall support. Needless to say, he ended up on the happy man with a 2-1 win for the Lions that day. That's a great story, Ads, and it is entirely consistent with the impression that I got of Fred when he wrote to me. As I say, a subscriber to both No One Likes Us magazine and then Coldblow Lane when we changed name. So I just wanted to begin today's show dear listeners, with a tribute to Fred Hicks, 1930 to 2024, old school Millwall fan from the 1930s. Fred, it's been a pleasure, mate, and condolences to your family, and rest well, rest in peace. So welcome back to the show, dear listeners. First up on today's edition, this is a voicemail edition in the wake of that 1-0 win at Swansea at the weekend. I spoke yesterday to Harry Warren, just to start us off. Then we'll be back after Harry with the voicemails.
Achtung, Millwall.
Okay, dear listeners, first up today on his last show of the season, voice note show, we've got it live from an unnamed location somewhere outside of Legoland, Windsor. It's Mr. Harry Warren. How are you, H?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm very good, actually. I was just trying to think of good intro lines to having you on the show, and all I've got written down is Rowett relegated, Leeds finish in the playoffs, Millwall finish 13th, and Alex Pritchard is now a League One player. I thought that's got to be a good day, Harry.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we also had that. What was it? The guy that scored for Plymouth was called Joe Edwards.
Joe Edwards, yes, it was. You wouldn't write that if you was a Hollywood scriptwriter. You wouldn't write that bit, but that was so. So a good day to be a Millwall supporter. I think we finish 13th in the Championship, Harry. I didn't see that coming back on the. It'd been the 17th of February, the last week of Joe Edwards, as we mentioned his name. Well, not another Joe Edwards, his name. I didn't see that level of finish coming, mate. Did you?
No, I didn't think we'd finish like that, but I didn't think we'd get relegated. I remember that live stream that we did, and everyone was bringing in, slagging the man off before he'd retaken the job. His football's rubbish. He's this, he's that. Very disrespectful in the sense that the man walked away from us when he decided, which he didn't have to do, and I don't think he would have got sacked back before when he left after Luton, and walked away from us because he thought he'd taken us as far as we can. But let's get it right. We were going back to where he'd taken over us before, back under the dark days of Holloway, and to finish where we have five wins in a row. We've won. Yeah. What's that? I think
we're speaking of Neil Harris, of course, listeners. But there's actually there's a few memes doing the rounds. I've got one here, Harry. Since the 24th of February, which was I think that was the Southampton game, Neil's first in charge. We're second only to Ipswich in terms of most points taken in the Championship since that point onwards. 26 points. Ipswich promoted, of course, as we all know, to. I suppose that's the only downside of the day for you, isn't it? Ipswich going up. But yeah, they're top of that particular form table on 27. Neil's home record, Harry. What a contrast in the time he's been back with us. Won 5, drawn 1, lost 0. Away from home, a problem area for a while as well, but he's won 3, drawn 1, lost 3. 26 points of a possible 39, which is... as I've just said, second only to promoted Ipswich. Massive achievement and a real turnaround in spirit at the club.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's chalk and cheese, isn't it? But yeah, isn't it a shame we didn't appoint him in October? In October, we might have got. You're not that far away, That's another probably 10 games. Whether or not it was sustainable over those 10 games is another question. It's if, buts, and maybes, but. You can only look at the proof over 13 games and we'd have been right there.
I mean, I think what I would say is obviously Neil's achieved this. It's a massive achievement, but then you do have to include the reality that he's done it on a wing and a prayer because, we've sustained injuries to some key players, some by Millwall standards, some big signings. Nisbet's been out, others have been not available for him. So there's been points where he's only had Michael Obafemi as his sole recognised striker. I think that's that on a magnitude of achievement. I mean, I would put it in the conversation for one of Millwall's great seasons. There will be others that are better than that, but there won't be many others better than that, listeners. So I think you've got to take your hat off to to Neil Harris, and then you've got to throw in his stature at the club, Harry. It's some storyline, I've got to say, some story.
I mean, Netflix can make a series out of it, can't they? I mean, you'll get a 6-parter out of this, you know.
Well, do you know what? One of my other intro lines to introduce Harry was I once, a long while ago, listeners, did a creative writing course, and one of the standard storylines, Harry, and you see it in every blockbuster, is you have a hero, he's then cast out outside the fold, and then he makes a triumphant return to save the day. So it does have that Hollywood script writing smack about it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not normal, really, is it? You know, we're so bipolar as a fan base, as we know, but like, it just has turned into, you know, I remember, like, even within his tenure, we lost 2 games against Rotherham and Huddersfield in the most Millwall.
Yeah, you can't analyse that, can you?
You know, we're down. Like, it's instantaneous. Like, but I don't know if there's like a sick cathartic sort of strain that runs through Millwall fans that it's easier when we're shit, because then you just.
I think you're onto something. I mean, we are the as I keep using my phrase, the eternal underdogs. We are at our best with our backs to the wall, no expectation on us, and usually pitched up against major league opponents. This season, let's go to Leicester, the home game, where I think some people are talking about cricket scores, Harry, and what do? We produce, and that was on the back of coming back from was it Huddersfield or Rotherham? I can't remember which was the previous game, but it was a poor performance at a long, far-flung northern outpost, you know, so we're going to come back to the den up against the best in the division, and lo and behold, we produce one of the performances of the season. So, well, from what I've read of Neil Harris and the way he's talking now, I do think he's a changed manager, in the sense that I think he recognises some of these flaws, and this Millwallness thing includes that inconsistency, and I think he wants to get past that, Harry.
Yeah, I think it naturally sort of, it was needs must, and I don't think you can judge Neil Harris's, as I'll use his own thing. It's like I said, this was the short term aim, and the medium aim is to leave the club in a better position than when I found it. Well, I mean, 13th, the only real logical thing, and I know it is 13th, and it's just a position, and our fault. Don't get me wrong, we're a million miles off that top 6, but I think this year have been ridiculously good quality anyway. Like, we're never as good as Ipswich, and we were never going to be as good as Leicester. Watching everyone else not try to go up, you know, I was listening to that second tier podcast, which seemed to predict everyone's scores wrongly. So if you want to bet
against them.
they seem to have this idea that it's a new thing that teams have struggled to get to the playoffs. And I just looked at us last year and, like, we should have been there. We weren't. You know, this drop in form, if we look at this now, was telegraphed pretty much from last February, and it continued till Neil Harris returned. Really, we were awful. If you look over that, probably 8-9 months over 2 seasons, like end of the 2 seasons. Yes, we lost John Berylson in between there, and there's probably some reasons for that. But the fans have stuck with the club because we've got our most ever average attendance at the new den. You know,
absolutely, yeah. 16,500 plus, which is unheard of in the modern era. Unheard of.
I've also seen, you know, Sky are now prattling out the more EFL games than ever before yesterday in the City game. And I'm sitting there thinking, you know what? I don't think, no, that the eternal optimist of Millwall is that we're not that many players away if we could keep 11 fit, and that's all a problem for us as well. But, you know, Brian Leonard was suddenly the best right back in the country, you know, for 13 games. I mean, I've never seen him play this many games for the club. He'll probably tell him not to go away. I'm going to put him in an oxygen tank.
Don't go away. Don't put your bins out like Hutch did. All that kind of thing, you know. Be wrapped in cotton wool in your loft or something for 3 months. I mean, you know, yesterday, just want to touch on yesterday's game, which was a strange old game, actually. I don't know if you saw it, Harry, but I watched it. It was an end of season friendly kickabout for the first half. There was one decent chance for Tom Bradshaw early on, which he didn't take. I think he probably should have done about 4 minutes in, close range shot. Apart from that, it was pretty much end of season beach football fare. You know, it was drifting on to nothing, and then the second half got lively. We actually played some decent stuff, created some good chances, and out of nowhere, really, we had a few shots on target. Out of nowhere, they won a penalty, which was really, I thought, well, it's going to be a shame to lose this because we'd actually, in the second half particularly, we'd actually done pretty well. We were having the bulk of the game. But Martija Sarkic, a man who I've been critical of, Harry, and I don't think I'm alone in having been critical of him in previous games, stepped up to the plate big time and produced a decent save from that penalty yesterday. It wasn't the best penalty ever, but it wasn't the worst, and he got to it. So penalty save on 64, more chances for Millwall, and then a really, really nice goal created really by for me, the man of the match yesterday for Millwall was Danny Mack. Surging kind of moved down the left side and Casperdinall running from deep to finish a Danny cross for 1-0. Nice finish. Apart from a bit of a silly bit of fisticuffs at the 84th, it wasn't even in that really, Harry. I mean, it was the Swansea player put his hand up, and I think Jeff Tanganga might have put his up. I don't think he threw any punch, but anyway, both players saw the red card, and that was it. But it was a pretty good win. A place where, as the cliche has it, it's not always easy to go there. So it struck me as a really professional performance on a game where there was nothing really on the table for us, but we produced the goods. And that, I'm hoping, is going to be the mark of the Neil Harris next year, because that's really what we're searching for, is consistency of effort and approach, Harry.
Yeah, I suppose so. I'd like to, I know it's very simple in football, but if you win your own game and you're picking up, you can afford to lose 2 away games on a bounce and then win one. You're still getting more than you would if you drew.
Home form is crucial. I mean, he said that a few times in his interviews, hasn't he?
Yeah, and I mean, it takes the pressure off if you think that we're going to go to the Den and win. And now, don't expect us to go to the Den and lose. And I enjoy going to the Den, and yeah, everyone's going to moan about the football. But I feel like with the football, is the football that much worse than Gary Rowett's football? Is it really that much worse? And can you actually, please somebody explain to me why it's so much worse? Because they're both attritional styles of football. They're both defend first and go solid. The difference is that Gary Rowett never understood the Den, Neil Harris does. And I think that's the only difference. And I think it's trendy to bash Neil Harris in a weird way until recently, when everyone who was, cutting him off on Twitter, has sort of flipped, and now it's all praise Harris, build the statue, whatever. But the real pushback at the beginning was almost like, well, it's almost a bit like what you get with players, is that if you support us, therefore we can't have you because it's a small wall mentality, and it's a really odd thing. And I don't think other clubs have this, where you go, oh, we don't want him because he supports us or he gives a fuck. Like, it's a really Millwall thing. It's like you've got to almost overprove that you're worth getting the job, and you're not just getting the job because you're a Millwall supporter. It's weird.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, we all read the same internet websites and threads and all that kind of thing. It is a Millwall thing to almost come down hard on your own. I mean, I want to take my hat off to Danny Mack, who took a bit of a slating at points in this season and is now playing in a converted role, a left side role, looking really strong in that position, Harry. And that's not an easy thing to do, is it? To change your natural position to the other side of the pitch and still produce the goods in a tight situation where your team is fighting for its life. So and I think there is a bit of a tendency amongst Millwall fans to slag our own. I don't ask me what it's always been so ever since I've been going there. It's part of the DNA. I think results have done the talking for Neil this season. You don't see nearly as much slating when he's producing numbers like that. No one else has produced figures like that. Whether it's Joe Edwards' beautiful football or Gary Rowett's realism, I don't think anyone can really compete with that. I mean, the thing is, we've got a big summertime ahead of us now. We've got assured championship football for the next season. There's some fairly clear and obvious areas of the squad where we need to improve, Harry. Remains to be seen what happens there and what resources we can bring to bear, really. Whether deals will be done, some players out, some players in, I don't know. But it's going to be an interesting summertime. And I actually can't think, and I mean this, for all the criticism that Neil got when he first arrived, I can't think of anyone else I'd sooner have in control of our club at such a transitional point. So there we are. We finished the season in 13th. It all finished up happily ever after in the end, Harry, after a fairly rocky period.
Achtung, Millwall.
The Edwards experiment now looks more and more ridiculous when you look back, don't you? You look back and it's like, so it's actually quite Millwall. It's like very ambitious but a bit rubbish, like Top Gear say.
It didn't work out. I mean, there was actually one of our voice notes that I'm going to be going to very, very shortly. Listeners, make an interesting point about Joe. You're right. It didn't work out, and when you look back at it all now, you think, wow, that was not wasn't the best move. But then hindsight's 2020. But one thing, and I can't remember who it was who says this, but you'll hear it later in the show, listeners, is that Joe Edwards' influence and contacts and this famed, black book of names that he's got, I think served to bring us in the likes of Jeff Tanganga and Michael Obafemi. So for that, at least, it probably wasn't such a bad thing in the end, albeit bar the fact we were staring down League One by the time we went. But that might be clutching at a few straws there, Harry.
Yeah, perhaps. Who knows? Maybe if we'd got another manager in, maybe we would. Well, I suppose everything happens for a reason. Would we have got Neil Harris back if we hadn't had experience?
Well, there we are. Yeah.
It's just, football's weird, isn't it? I mean, take out the Millwall thing. Look at the Harris thing. League One sacked by Gillingham when they were in, and they didn't finish in the playoff, and they've sat there to replace him on the last day of the season as well, by the way. Then he goes to Cambridge, gets quite a good points per game at Cambridge, and kind of Gary Monk's carried that on when he's taken over. And then he comes to Millwall and puts on the second best points per game since he's been back in the league. I mean, everyone told me how shit he was because he's been sacked by Gillingham, but everyone seems to forget about Cardiff afterwards, that he got to the playoffs. He got to the playoffs. So
he did, yeah.
I just didn't really see. I just saw like a lot of like. You either get it or you don't, and the parallels between us and Cardiff in terms of clubs are quite strong in terms of working class support and sort of home. And I get it. The football's not, the football's limited by the players, and I'd say that because we saw what happened when you play different football or difficult football to teach and coach to a limited bunch of players, and our players have been proven to be a limited bunch of players. They can only play Gary Rowett / Neil Harris football. That's fine.
I agree with that. Joe Edwards' ball, pep ball, or whatever you want to call it, was beyond them, and that was that. Just before I let you go, Harry, I mean, we've got a big summer ahead. Where would you make your main change? You have one change. Where would you look to strengthen if you have just one position? What would you look at?
I think we need to target them. I think we need it. Well, actually, to be fair, I'll tell a lie. We need a winger. I'd take the target man away. We need a winger because Tom Bradshaw had the season of his life last season, and that was mainly caused by us putting balls into the box, into where he likes it, between the two goalposts, on the floor, running onto. He's a poacher. He's not a target man. He's not a great striker at the ball at his feet, but when he gets the chances that are in and around the box, inside the box, he's very, very good at finishing, or tends to be when he gets confidence. He scores goals in bunches. That doesn't mean that he's going to score goals, he's not going to score one every game. He'll score like 2 or 3 in one game, like he did last season with Watford. I think he got 6, right? But obviously, we need someone else that takes the load away from him. I know we've got Nisbet. Nisbet and Bradshaw are very, very similar, I think. So we need, not Matt Smith, because Matt Smith's like 50, but we need someone a little bit more mobile to do that job. But I think the three to them, we haven't got anyone who's a proper winger. Obviously, Ryan Longman isn't half. Maybe be able to get Ryan Longman. But on the other side, we've been playing, Honeyman or Amarco.
Honeyman, Watmore.
More. And Watmore's really not really a winger. I mean, he's kind of been brought to playing a 3 up front, maybe. It's weird. So, I think we need to transition some of the Gary Rowett, Joe Edwards ball players into sort of Neil Harris, whatever Neil Harris wants to play. And I think that's quite going to be... I think we might look quite weird at some point. Like decisions might look quite weird during the summer, but all in all, look, I think we all need a break. Let's get that right. I think this has been quite emotional.
You got that right, Harry. I think we all need a break from it all, and it's going to be an interesting summertime.
We've got the Euros that we can watch Southgate fuck up the world's greatest attacking talent.
Well, I can't get excited over the Euros, Harry. Maybe I'm getting too old for it all. I don't know, but that's in June. That begins in June, so we'll keep our eyes on that, mate. I'm going to let you crack on, Harry. I want to say a big thank you for joining us tonight, mate. I appreciate it.
No worries, mate. Always a pleasure. And yep, well done to everyone who said it's the death of Millwall Football Club. But I'm not gloating much. It leads us to the promised land. Mark my words.
I had to give him the chance to talk, listeners, didn't I? Big thank you, Harry.
Achtung, Millwall.
So on to the voicemails, dear listeners. Big thank you to everyone who's contributed to this last proper show of the 23-24 season. I've chosen the first voicemail from Jamie out there in Australia, and when you listen to it, you'll understand why I wanted to choose this one to begin our sequence of voice notes. Some of these messages you get sometimes from people really stop you in the tracks, and I think you'll hear why now. So let's have a quick listen now to Jamie Mack in Australia.
Just want to start by saying a massive thanks to Nick and the boys for the year. Just finished in my front room, 1-0 to Millwall. A very Neil Harris kind of performance, which we've grown and love recently. 5 wins on the trot, you can't really moan. Kind of cements him being here next season. It was a fun-filled game. Penalty saves, couple of sending-offs. McNamara definitely man of the match. I think he kind of epitomised the Millwall side, playing out of position. Looks a bit uncoordinated at times. Final ball, gets a bit of luck, but he's always there trying to bust a gut. And I think that's what Neil Harris's teams kind of do. So yes, rolling on to next season, what will it be like? Will Harris be able to get the recruitment and the big names in? That's going to be the question. Can he keep the spirit going? Hopefully he can. Let's be positive. And for me, on the south of front, I've recently got bile duct cancer and only 50 with a young family. I've only one thing to say to cancer, and that's fuck you, I'm Millwall, and I'll be back next season.
Jamie, I want to send my personal best wishes to you out there in Oz. And I know all the listeners to the show, Millwall fans everywhere, will be pulling with you, mate, all the way there. It's easy to say this kind of stuff, but keep in touch with me, mate. I sent you a message privately on Twitter. Blimey. As I said, sometimes when you do this podcast, I think the most valuable thing of all that we've got in this life, listeners, is that sense of connection with other people. And if the podcast and what we do here can help, connect someone now in wonderful place, but a long way away from home, with links with home, and if that helps sustain you, Jamie, then anything we can do, mate. Like I say, keep in touch, and I know everyone listening to the show is going to send you and your family the very best wishes, mate, and hang on in there. And as you say, fuck off cancer, absolutely, 100%. Big thank you for that very, very touching message there from Jamie Mack. As for the game, seems a bit trite to talk about a game in the context of a message like that, but it was, like I said to Harry, it was a bit of a friendly kickabout in the first half. Got a bit tastier in the second half, and obviously there was the penalty save from Sarkic. We actually created a few chances across the game, the whole game, and we probably should have done better. That's going to be an area that I know Neil Harris will want to focus on. Goal scoring is gold dust and ain't easy. But some great spirit shown by a squad that clearly have a lot of time for each other. Anyone that's seen the videos from the players' dinner in the week will notice that. And that's something that's going to be, really, hopefully, that's going to sustain us next season. And I'm really looking forward to August already. But big thank you, Jamie. And, we've said it all. So hang on in there, mate. Everyone's best wishes are with you. Let's have a listen now to, we'll start off with Joe from Chicago, and then we'll go with Aussie Dave Baccarine this day in the Great Dominions.
Joe from Chicago. What a win, Casper Denore. You are a man. Danny McNamara, you have no left foot, but you are a man. And Matthias Sarkic, oh my gosh, what a save. But the best part of today is Birmingham are going down. Gary Rowett gets a win on decision day, still going down. They couldn't get above Plymouth. Tom Brady could not get above Plymouth. Tom Brady in League One. I don't think you understand as an American how funny that is, because he is going to not even be the biggest owner because of Wrexham, and he's going to hate it. Oh, what a day. What a day. I guess I got to say thank you to Gary Rowett for pulling that off. 50 points and they still got relegated. But oh my God, the Millwall won. Millwall won. I hate Swansea. Tanganga, love that man. How do you get punched and you get a red card? Just absolutely stupid, and I have some thoughts that I cannot say online. But yeah, Tanganga, what a man. What a performance. What a win. Fuck Birmingham. And we get to play Plymouth again next year in their shit side. So there's 6 points. Awesome. What a season. What a day. This is nice. This is nice. Come on, you Lions. Love y'all. Hope everything's well.
Hello, Nick. Aussie Dave here. I'm actually ringing at the half-time of the Swansea Yawn Fest. I thought, why not ring one more time to my mate Nick? And seeing it's the end of the season, I just thought I'd make 4 final points for the year. Now, I'm an old bloke. I started going to Millwall in 61. I remember Reg Davis in goal and Pat Terry up front and Joe Broadfoot on the wing. And I've seen a few memorable seasons. I actually think this season is probably in the top 20 memorable seasons for dear old Millwall. It began by we losing our chairman. Then we had 3 managers in a season. When's the last time that happened? We looked doomed till a shining armour, a real legend came along and really did the impossible that we're all surprised and delighted about. What a season. Point 2, talking about the 3 managers, Joe Edwards was an experiment. It was worthy, but ultimately didn't work. However, I think we need to thank him for 2 key things. I'm sure he was instrumental in getting 2 key loanees in Tanganga and Rob Femi. And I'm not quite sure we would have made it without those. So a little small thank you for Joe Edwards, even though it didn't work out. Point 3. We've got some key servants leaving the club at the end of the year. We all know about Bart and we're all praising what a wonderful time he did for us. And there's a lot of discussion about Hutch and will he or won't he stay and one more season. But there seems to be a forgotten player in all this. Someone who's gone under the radar, but I think has generally been a good performer. And that's Murray Wallace. So that's my personal thank you for what he's done for the club in the time he's been here. And finally, point 4. I've lived in Oz for about the last 30 years, but thanks to numerous video options, I've never been more immersed in the Millwall dream, particularly obviously every game on Millwall TV. But I really want to give a special thanks to you, Nick, and Achtung. Hearing the supporters after every game giving their review, it's almost like meeting my mates after a game in the pub and discussing and disagreeing. Anyway, Nick, one final thank you and come on, you Lions.
Those are very kind words, Dave, and I do appreciate your thoughts and your kind words, mate. Much appreciated. I hope we do try and bring people together around the world. That's Millwall fans around the world, anyway. That's partly what I wanted to do with the show, so I really appreciate those kind words. In the top 20, I think you're probably right about the top 20 season, Dave. It's in the conversation, let's talk about it, because the circumstances of the campaign I can't think of anything to match losing such a beloved chairman. Rarely at Millwall are chairman beloved, to be honest, listeners. When I started going back in the early 70s, Mickey Purser was chairman, and despite he was a chairman that actually achieved quite a bit one way and the other, but held in some disdain by the Mill support. And there's always the old cliche thing of his windows in his car showrooms getting smashed after defeats and so on. But club chairmen weren't exactly seen as people that you looked up to and admired. More threw them off a strip whenever the team didn't do terribly well, which was quite a bit often. So for John Barrelson to have made that kind of status, and then for him to be snatched away, is there's nothing to compare with it in the club's history. And then the managerial changes that Dave refers to, no matter what the worthy motives were behind, particularly Joe Edwards. We were looking at League One. I mean, I've looked at the game in the last show, the Sheffield Wednesday game when we got beat at home, which was, I think, was the final hurrah of Joe Edwards' football. But we were one place off the bottom three, just 1 point clear of QPR at that point in the bottom three, and we were staring down the barrel, dear listeners. So for it to be turned down with the kind of statistics we've mentioned already on this show, the turnaround in form, the turnaround in spirit generally of the club, is an incredible performance. It's certainly in the conversation of great escapes, and I wouldn't compare it quite with the George Graham Classic in the mid-80s, but you would mention this season in the conversation about great Millwall campaigns. So good stuff there from Aussie Dave out there in Oz, obviously. Just going back to Chicago Joe. Yeah, Tom Brady. I love the pettiness. I couldn't help but press on the spot that is Alex Pritchard and his West Ham sign going down with Birmingham Joe online. You have to do it. You're a Millwall fan. Sometimes you've got to glory in the uncomfortable truth that you just sometimes do take pleasure in someone else's misery. So to see Pritchard relegated is terrific. But obviously Tom Brady, this superstar of North American sports, the NFL's almost godlike status in American football, now involved in the ownership of Birmingham. And as you've said, I hadn't thought of this, but this is a wonderful point to dwell upon from the petty perspective that drives football fans. He will be second in the he'll sit in the shadow of Wrexham's Hollywood ownership, which is highly amusing. So well done, Joe in Chicago, for pointing out that wonderful pettiness. I admire that level of pettiness. Let's have a listen now to Matt Richards and then Matt Webb. We'll do the two Matts. Matt Richards first, then Matt Webb.
Nick, Matt Richards. Well, what a season, eh? What a season. Bloody hell. Glad it's over, but it's weird, I think I'm feeling really positive. I mean, obviously, because of the way we've ended the season. If you compare it to last year, when it was just, what a terrible way to end the season. It's funny, isn't it? A kind of momentum and positivity, negativity and stuff like that. Yeah, good game today. Well, good second half anyway. I mean, fair play to everybody who's gone to Swansea, and I'm really pleased for you because you would have had to get up early. And I thought, I thought maybe, after a few drinks on a Tuesday night, and I was there, lucky enough to be there at the awards night, Tuesday night, you never know. You don't know what sort of performance the team might have put in. Nothing to play for. But first half was a bit sloppy, and you kind of thought, oh, maybe that was because of the end of the season. But, we should have scored a couple of goals. Bradshaw should have scored. Longman was unlucky. But, yeah, I mean, Swansea didn't do much either. But I thought second half was a good game. Good game second half. Entertaining. End-to-end stuff. Opened up. Danny Mack played really well. And he'd be my man of the match, really. Yeah, we had a few chances and we scored a good finish. I wouldn't say it's a good goal because it was a bit of a deflection, but Danny did well. He pressured the defender and made a mistake and gets into the box. Bit of a deflection and a good finish by Casper. Happy for him because it gives him a bit more confidence. He's a player we do want to keep in the squad for next year. Another clean sheet. Was it 4 clean sheets out of 5? And that's been the secret, really. It's funny, you kind of think about it. Harris is playing. It's 0-0, not scoring many goals, but it's effective stuff. It's almost like, I hate to say it, but like Rowett ball, but with the Millwall passion, with the Millwallness in there. And that's been the difference, really. We've kind of shut up shop, set up well, not giving away too much. Teams have hardly been creating chances against us. I can't think of any one of those games where, there's a lot. Even against Rotherham and Huddersfield, they weren't. No team has carved us, carved us out with chances, and that's fair play to Harris and the coaches and the team really for just being so tight in midfield and defence. So yeah, good win, and what a finish to the season. What will next season bring? I just don't know. It's interesting one. Really clearly, it's interesting with Nisbet. Bit of a disciplinary. So he was kept out of the squad today. Obafemi's not going to be staying, which I don't think anybody really thought we were going to be getting him. Tanganga, that would be the last we see of him. Early bath. I thought it's unlucky. I mean, it's one of those stupid. How many times do referees do this now? They're not quite sure what happens. They know something's happened, so they give a yellow card to both players, or they give a red card to both players. Absolutely pathetic officiating. I hate it. But anyway, it went against Tanganga today. But I doubt if he'll be there next season. And actually, I didn't think he had a great game. I thought in the first half he was giving the ball away, like quite a few other players were. But yes, it's obviously a big summer. Centre half wise, it'd be nice to get Alex Mitchell back. I mean, surely with the season it looks like he's had at Lincoln, he must be ready now for a championship season. That'll save us a lot of money. We need a couple of forwards, obviously. Maybe Zian would be off. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing for both parties, really. Get a bit of money, invest it, and who knows, really. It could be an interesting season. I say I'm feeling quite positive, really, despite all the struggles. So it's looking forward to next season. Whatever that brings, and it could be another Millwall up and down season. Surely it won't be as much of a roller coaster as this year, but you never know with Millwall. So that's me out. And just finally, Nick, before I go, is kind of well done. Thank you once again to you for running this fantastic podcast. It gives me a lot of joy, and I'm sure it gives a lot of other listeners a lot of joy. So well done, mate. Enjoy your break, and see you next season. Cheers. Come on, you Lions.
Hi Nick, Matt Webb here, and finally it's over. The season has ended, which is a bit of a touch and a chance for all of us, including yourself, mate, to have a bit of a respite from Millwall Football Club. First and foremost, well done to the 1200 that made it today, and getting up at silly o'clock in the morning to travel down to South Wales. Well done. And you were rewarded with a good 1-0 win. Didn't see the game, as you can imagine, but you only see the goals. But you know what? I'm pleased that Casper got on the score sheet finally. And well done to Matty Sarkic for a penalty save. That's his second penalty save of the season, which hopefully people will acknowledge that and not say lay off him, that's probably the wrong word, but just appreciate that he's a good goalkeeper and will get better. Mark my words on that one. But well done to Neil Harris. Who would have thought we would have finished 13th in the league when we were subjected to 2 defeats away from home to Rotherham and Huddersfield. I mean, that was a bit of a turnaround, really. So well done. Albeit I did say that you got to you play who's in front of you, really. And at that time we had a bit of a semi-decent running in terms of teams that had nothing to play for. So, but that does not take away the efforts of what the lads have done. So, all's well that ends well, as they say. Mid-table, I think that's probably where majority of fans said at the beginning of the season. So, we knew what was coming. So what happens now? Well, there's already mentioned that Obafemi's not going to be part of the club, and I don't know what's happened today. Obviously, a disciplinary reason. He wasn't part of the match day team squad, so to speak. So he won't be returning. Tanganga, well, it'd be great if he was here, but he's going to start with a 3-match ban for starters. But yeah, it all depends. It all comes down to money, really. Have we got to try and generate funds before we even think about contemplating having a quality talent like him in a Millwall shirt long term? Ryan Longman, even, mate, we need to be speaking to his agent, speaking to the club now, and putting an offer in. I'd have him. Don't care. Like, I'll definitely would have him. He's definitely come on leaps and bounds since Neil Harris has come on board, and if Neil is here for another 12 months, as he's mentioned, then yeah, if he's top of player, we've got to have him. And then we've got to look at what we've got and how we strengthen the squad. Now, I know Obafemi was out for disciplinary reasons, and Kevin Nisbet now was another one. I don't know. Well, no one knows really what the disciplinary reasons are, but if you're going to put a player of the year do 2 or 3 days before a game, I mean, you put 2 and 2 together, you might make 4. And if that's the reason, then I don't think we need to have characters like that in the club. And we've got to realise that no individual is bigger than the club. So for me, Kevin Nisbet needs to shape up or be shipped out. Simple as that. Hopefully he'll learn from this and don't do it again. Because with the greatest respect to Tom Bradshaw, I don't think we can go into another season with just him as our main striker. So definitely we need some investment up top. And that's not discouraging Adamu Maku, who hopefully he'll have a good pre-season, get a bit stronger, because technically he's got something about him. So, but we still need more strength up top. Then it leads to our key assets. What do we do with them? SA, Fleming, and I'll even put Denor in that category. Do we try and build this team around them? I mean, there's no hidden secrets that Fleming wants to move on to bigger things. Then, okay, cash in on the gentleman, shaking my hand, say thanks very much, and then say with the money we probably can get from him, could we get two players cheap / free? I mean, the free market this season I think is going to be quite interesting. There's plenty of them. Listeners, would you put a cheeky effort in to get Jamie Vardy for one season? Just putting it out there for you. He's a freebie. But yeah, I think it's definitely a big pre-season or close season even for Millwall Football Club, because I think there's more than just 2 or 3 positions that we need to strengthen. I think right back, left back definitely needs more cover. I still think we should have another central midfielder, and definitely the front line. We're a bit toothless in my opinion. Although yes, I know we've scored 1 goal today, and we've scored a couple against some other clubs like over the past couple of games. But you know, we need to be a little bit more ruthless up top, and I think we need to really look at that from my perspective. I'm waffling on now, Nick, if I'm honest with you, mate, and I like to just wish everyone a happy pre-season or close season. Hopefully we'll probably all see each other. Well, the likelihood is we'll probably have Gillingham away, don't we, in pre-season, as we customarily do. So thanks, Nick, again for a great season with Achtung. Thanks for the callers, contributors. It's been a pleasure listening to you guys. Bobby T, we'll find out who you are, mate. We will find out, and we'll give you a big old hug, I think, because I think sometimes we all need one. And yeah, have a great break, everyone, and come on your lines, and see you in season 2024-25. Sorry, Nick, I'm doing a second message. Bobby T style. I just wanted to wish Bromley all the best in their National League final against Solihull. If this is going out on a Sunday, we will be up there, and hopefully I'll see some other Millwall fans up there. And also just to put out a note that there's going to be an over 40s fans game on the 21st of May down the Den in aid of Paul Jiggins Memorial. Phil Clark has done an amazing job in arranging this, so it'd be good to see people come down, watch it. Harry's Bar's going to be open, so if you haven't had all your fix yet of being down the Den, there's one more game down there, so come on, you lines.
Terrific stuff there from Matt Webb and Matt Richards prior to Matt Webb. I agree about the over 40s game there, Matt. I mean, Phil does a terrific job every year, it seems now. You've acquired a role there, Phil, but everyone that's been involved in those games, those fans' games end of season at the Den, speaks so highly of them. So huge well done to Phil Clark for that. Bromley, yeah, there was a happy ending, Matt, for Bromley. This is going out on the Monday morning, so we missed yesterday's turnout at Wembley, but I watched it on the telly, and it was a terrific performance, end-to-end game, really entertaining, and the penalty shootout with our man Byron Webster showing ice-cold blood in his veins to settle it with the very last kick of the game. So well done, Bromley. League 2 side now, and Gillingham already announcing a Kent derby. I don't know if I suppose it is Bromley Kent, isn't it? But Kent derby. There we are. Bromley versus Gillingham next season. Some two great messages there from the Matts. 1200 travelled down to Swansea. Matt Richards, Matt R. I've got her. And it was a positive kind of game yesterday overall. The disciplinary issues, well, I suppose if you have a player at a season dinner, not everyone can hold their drink, as they used to say back in Victorian times, and maybe certainly Obafemi, I think, was always going to be on his way at the end of the season. He's done a good job for us, and I think he should be held in respect for the crucial goals that he's scored for us where we needed them most. Nizzy, you haven't quite got the credit in the bank yet, Kevin, to start going on the slash. If that's what it is, I can only presume, as Matt has said, add 2 and 2 make 4. Both Matt said a similar thing, I think. You got to do the works side, and you got to get the credit side before people will forgive you having one too many, mate. If that's what it is, who knows. 2 great messages there from the Matts, so big thank you to both of them. Kind words from both. I do appreciate the kind words, Matt Richards and Matt Webb. Back at you. We've had some great contributors this season. I'm always looking for good contributors, listeners, so if you want to join the gang, give me a shout. You can find me on Twitter at Achtung Mill. You can send me a direct message. We can exchange mobile numbers. It's dead easy. All you got to do is send me a voice note via WhatsApp. If you prefer, you can use the Twitter voice note on the direct messages now. That's easily done as well. So, but by whichever method you choose, it's great to hear from as many people and as wide range of opinion. As you can tell from this show, we've got a really, really good band of opinion, and I really enjoy these shows. So big thank you to the 2 Matts there. Let's go now with Rob Abbott and then Glyn Horner.
Morning, Nick. Hope all is well. Rob Abbott here in a beautiful sunny Dublin on this Sunday morning. First off, yesterday's game. Well, let's call a spade a spade. Wasn't the most exciting game of football for the last game of the year with 2 teams playing for nothing. But in saying that, I will always take a Millwall win, and I thought it was a very, very professional display by us. Apart from a bit of clumsy play, giving the ball away cheaply, and then Jake Cooper giving away the penalty. I thought we were very, very good, very solid indeed. Good save by Sarkic from the penalty, albeit it was an absolute shite penalty, but won't complain. And then a very nice finish by Kasper. I believe that's his first of the year. But look, job done. Shout out yesterday, Danny McNamara. I've never seen the guy play so well and be so aggressive up the pitch, and bringing something to the attacking side of the thing. So well done, Danny. I think he's been absolutely brilliant since Harris has come back. So great way to finish the year. Overall, look, Neil Harris, he come in. I was always a fan of him coming back because I always believed he was going to keep us up. But I wasn't really too sure about giving him a contract for next year. But look, no one can complain now. He's here next year, and the guy's just a Millwall legend. And let's see what he can do next year. He gets the fans. He gets how important the Den is. And if we can just carry on our home form next year and pick up points here and there away from home, we're going to be a top half team. And people have got to realise there's more than one way to play football, and at the end of the day, all that matters is how many times we can put the ball in the opposition net to stopping the ball going in our goal. People moan, they'll always moan, but I think his football is quite good. It's front foot playing fast, getting the ball into the box, and then obviously off the ball we're very well organised and hard to break down. Since he's come in, I think only Ipswich have got more points than us. We've got the best defence since he's come in, and over the whole year actually, I think we're the fourth best defence in the league. So I'm excited about next year. I'll be intrigued to see what happens, who we bring in. We know that there will be changes. Hoping we will keep Longman. I'd love us to keep Tanganga, but geez, that's going to take a miracle to make that happen. But yeah, look, great end to the year on what's been a strange season for Millwall fans. But look, it's always entertaining supporting us. I'd just like to say thank you very much to you and all the contributors to the podcast. Absolute love listening to it. And yeah, enjoy your break, Nick. Hopefully you rest up, and look forward to listening in August again, and hopefully see you down the Den.
Hello, Nick. Glyn here. I thought I'd just get my message in before the final game of the season. I think it's a bit of a dead rubber, so might be interesting to see a few young lads, not much more than that. Yeah, I think really just to wrap up my thoughts on this season, I mean, it's been tumultuous to say the least, but I think more recently, obviously Harris has been heard saying that he's not really responsible for the recruitment process, and I've heard some people saying, well, that may be just a clever way of him distancing himself from that if the club has moved to this new strategy of having an overarching sort of DNA, and then the coaches come in and sort of implement that. I think it was quite a blatant statement, and I don't think it was that subtle at all, really. And I think it's really just a way for him to sort of make his colleagues and senior people within the club, uncomfortably comfortable, if you like, and just making them aware of the fact that he will be holding them to account. He has nothing to prove. He's loved at the club and always will be, but they've still got to prove to the fans that they're actually capable of doing the job, and this is really their big moment. And if they fail, then big changes will need to happen. But keeping it hopeful and just hoping. There's been lots of stuff going on in the background which we're not made aware of, which would make sense if you don't want to alert other clubs to any targets you're moving on. Then I'm going to go into this summer and look forward to seeing lots of really good quality replacements. I'm not surprised to see that Ryan Longman has turned out to be a real Harris type player. I think I and others have said that when Harris first came in, he's very reminiscent of players like Chris Hackett and Danny Schofield and Christoph Kinney, and that a lot of raw talent, but a very confidence-based player. And Harris loves a winger. I think all strikers love wingers that are confident and putting the ball into the box, because it's the raw materials they need for scoring goals. So Harris seems very good at getting Ryan Longman at the end of the game and giving him a big pep talk about how great he's done. And if he can get regular performances out of that lad at 23 years old, what a prospect. And we should be able to sell him at a profit, I would have thought. And on that subject, I think that's got to be the strategy for this summer. We need quality, and we can't afford to keep signing people with injuries that are trying to recover their careers. I think we need to start investing in talent that we know is going to be going up in value. So Tanganga and Creswell would be examples of that, where a big outlay, I get it, a big outlay up front is a bit scary for our club, but the potential for doubling your money is clear, and possibly even more than that. So young lads, lots of talent, plenty to prove. And I think that, the classic Millwall player, we talk about the effort and all of that. But, if I think back of the players that have really come in and really found their place and then moved on in the world, have been those players that have, like Steve Morrison, who had a career, maybe didn't quite put the effort in, failed, and then woke up and realised that, hang on, you're in last chance saloon here. Get out there, put the effort in, fight hard, and the opportunities will come if you're good enough. That's the kind of player. Talent alone is, the Yuri Skalaks of the world. The talent alone is not going to do for us, but we need those players that have got a point to prove, but have accepted that fact and know now that, coming in at 50, 60% of effort is not going to get them where they want to get to in life. So, yep, big summer ahead, and I'm excited to see what we bring in. And I actually am glad that Neil Harris is going to be the person who sees us over this sort of transitional season, which is what I think next season will be. And who better to prepare the club than for the next coach who comes in and takes the club on, hopefully, to another level. All right, all the best. It's been a pleasure. Really enjoy your programme and, all your contributors. It's been great fun this year listening to you all. And, I hope to hear you all from you more next season. Come on, you Lions.
Thank you, Glyn. And before Glyn, Rob Abbott out there in Ireland. Recruitment. It's going to be the big question, Glyn, isn't it? Are they capable? Is a very good question. By that, I'm talking, as Glyn was, about the recruitment team, which is Alex Aldridge ultimately, plus whatever team he's got assembled around him. I've been really interested in Neil Harris's interviews repeatedly, listeners. He said he's only here for the term of his contract, which was 18 months. It's now just going to mean, in practical terms, next season alone. So it's going to be a rebuild over the summertime. A lot of business to be done, as others have said, and across this show and previous shows, we've got a lot of strengthening across the board. Harry said back at the start of this programme about his desire for a winger. Personally, I get that. It remains to be seen how good Adam Mayor is, whether he's going to be up to the rigours of championship football. I just think we need someone that's capable of putting the ball in the net. I think it was Matt, half seriously or what, was talking about an experienced head such as a Vardy. Matt Smith is probably too old now, whether he could have a mentor role, but I think his attention is focused on the world of business and probably away from football, I guess. But we need someone with some oomph up front to, if not do it, show others how it is done. I mean, Harris obviously was a striker in his day, so I'm hoping that we see some developments on that front. But yeah, I mean, we're saying the same things over and over, listeners. The next few months, the summer months, May, which is pouring down with rain as I'm speaking to you. So that's the so-called summer here in England, listeners, wherever you're listening around the world. It's actually slashing down on May bank holiday. But yeah, summer months loom, May, June and July, to see what kind of changes we can make for the start of the new season. Just going back to Rob, he mentioned Danny Mack, man of the match yesterday. I would class him as a very, very good defender now. He is a Republic of Ireland international. I think it was under 21 level. I think. I would think he must, if he continues in this vein of form, listeners, and any Irish listeners would be interested to know what they think. But he must be coming onto the radar of the Irish national side, I would think. But obviously, I don't keep tabs on the scene out there to a large extent, only on our own Danny Mack. But he's certainly looking the part increasingly. So big thank you to both Rob and to Glyn for their kind words about the show. I'm going to finish now with Angelo and Steve Morton, and I'll be back after the two boys.
Hi Nick, it's Angelo. Just a couple of words after today's finale. Fantastic to get obviously our fifth win on the trot. Fucking fantastic, mate. Obviously unbelievable form from the players. Shame Tanganga got sent off there. I've looked it back on the telly. I think it's more of a yellow card, but I didn't actually see him throw the punch. But there you go. Nice to see Danny Mack come steaming in as well to protect him. Great to see Denor get his first goal for the club. Fantastic as well. Brilliant way to finish the season with 5 wins on the trot. And brilliant performance from Danny Mack. Thought he was brilliant today. I thought he was brilliant. Sarkic obviously kept the clean sheets, the penalty save, and I thought Denor was very good as well, apart from his goal. But yeah, fantastic. I just, Neil Harris. It's like I don't think we realise how good a fucking manager that we have got. Honestly, I really don't. For him to do what he's done is just phenomenal. And what pleases me as well is we've come to the end of the season, one game to go, and he hasn't dropped any of his standards. He's disciplined 2 players. I don't know what they've done, but Nisbet and Obafemi obviously broke disciplinary rules, and he's just kicked him out of the squad, and no messing about from the guy. Absolutely brilliant manager. Honestly, I think we don't. A lot of us are thinking about the old Neil Harris. That this is a new Neil Harris, and the way that he motivates these players and gets them up for the fight is fantastic. If we can find a couple of gems in the summer, God knows what we can do next season. I'm really, really positive about the whole lot. So yeah, fantastic end to the season. Lovely, comfortably safe. And yeah, brilliant. And Nick, just want to say thank you to you, mate. Obviously, you do a fantastic job. You keep us Millwall fans entertained with your consistency of podcasts. So thank you very much for all the work you put in, Nick. We all appreciate it. I'm sure I'm talking on behalf of all the listeners, mate, even the ones that don't contact you or leave your voicemails. It's a great listen. It's always good to hear different views from all the different people. We won't all agree with each other, but there you go. That's football, isn't it? So yeah, thanks a lot, Nick. And yeah, I don't know if you can do any content during the summer, but we'll listen to it if you do, mate. Yeah. So yeah, brilliant. Positive end to the season, and we will catch you again next season. What's going to happen then? Come on, you Lions.
Hi Nick, Steve Morton here from wet and dreary Bolton. Thought I'd give my thoughts on the final game of the season, and looking forward to the summer ahead. Probably not much to add from what everybody else will probably say of today's game. I actually thought in patches we actually played some nice football, probably as good as I've seen us, passing it around, passing and moving. There is definitely a pattern of play now that I don't think we've seen earlier in the season. And obviously, certainly the Middlesbrough game for me stood out in Joe Edwards' era as a good game of football, but we lost the game 3-1. So you pay your money, you make your choice. For me, pretty stuff, but if it doesn't get you results, that's what the game is all about. And I certainly think Bomber has got some better tactical nous than probably a lot of people give him credit for, and are clearly worried about for next season. I'll stand by what I've said previously. I'd love him to bring in a good coach. I'm not saying Livermore isn't a good coach, but I think somebody, with that sort of modern, just to work on the players' technique and ability to retain the ball, I think would be invaluable. But look, it's probably unlikely to happen. He obviously has a good understanding with Livermore and with Barrett and co. So I guess that's what we're going to go with. But I say, look, let's not underestimate how we finished the season. I'm not going to get carried away. I think we've rolled our luck a little bit. But that's all part of the game. We've had bad luck during the course of the season as well. But there's certainly encouraging signs. And you start to look for four decent signings and some youngsters coming in, and maybe Alex Mitchell coming back as a good centre-half. Who knows? We could be in amongst it next year, or certainly compete. That's what we want to do, is compete, and we want to enjoy going down the den and watching our team, turn over more teams than they don't. I think Sarkic, now, he worried me a little bit at first, but he's starting to look a little bit more commanding. And I'll tell you what, he's got tough boots to fill. I'm telling you, Bart, I think a lot of people are thinking of Bart in the last year or two. Think back when he won the 2 seasons running Player of the Season. He's an outstanding keeper. My mates and I, a little while ago, about a year ago, I think we all submitted our best ever 11. And most of us go back like you to the 70s and onwards. I picked Bart as my best ever goalkeeper, and that's a big choice, I know, with Keller, obviously Fordy, Warner for me, Bart miles better. Keller, yeah, look, debatable. But I do remember Brian King, but only vaguely, so I can't really comment on that. Nicky Johns, I remember being in goal. Ray Goddard I used to love because he was so brave as a lion, but always got bloody injured. But for me, Bart, probably up there. I think the best I've ever seen in a Millwall shirt. Some of his reaction saves are absolutely, or have been, outstanding. And even people might remember this season, he's clearly gone now, but he made an absolutely outstanding save at Watford. Very reactions, but that's what a keeper's all about. So, look, if a bit of that's rubbed off on Sarkic, we'll be in good hands. Look, big debate now. Do we get rid of Fleming? I was in the camp in last close season, or before the start of this season. I didn't want us to sell Fleming. I thought that would be crazy. Unless 15 million. I'd have taken 15, which I think they went to about 12. So I was happy to keep him. But he's not played like a 12, 15 million player this year. If we could get 5+ for him and reinvest, I think that would be sensible. I mentioned Alex Mitchell. Somebody mentioned the other week on your show that he's won player of the season at the 3 clubs he's been on loan to. I know it's definitely right at St Johnstone and Lincoln this year. I'm not sure about Orient, but apparently he was as well. So if that's the case, look, he has obviously got something and surely worth a go in our team. And I think you said, Nick, that's the sort of player. If that was another club's player, we'd be saying, that's the sort of player we need to go and buy. Player of the season when he's away on loan, he's obviously got something about him. So let's give him a go. We should probably bring one in as well. Look, Tanganga would be fantastic. And Harris has mentioned that it's not dead in the water, but I think that's very unlikely. Creswell could be an option, but if Leeds don't go up, very unlikely. But yeah, look, bringing in Alex Mitchell, I think, is definitely an option. We definitely need a striker, but I think like half the fan base, I think there's a player in Kevin Nisbet, certainly a finisher. He is definitely a good finisher. So if Harris can get to work on him and then bring him in another striker to go alongside him, Bradshaw's good backup, but I think again today showed he's not got the quality if we want to kick on. Good for backup, but not as your number one choice. I think the lad at Birmingham, Stansfield, is it, from Fulham? Someone like him, and he's not a big lad, but crikey, he put some work rate in, and he knows where the back of the net is. So these players are available, and no doubt Harris will have looked and seen a few players in the lower leagues over the last couple of seasons, 2 or 3 seasons. He should be able to tap 1 or 2 up, and I think we'll have to take a chance. But that's the right thing to do. You never know how players are going to play when you sign them. So I've got to say, I was, really thinking we were in the shit, but I'm looking now and thinking we've got the nucleus of a decent squad. We do need to build. I think it's been said today, we need a couple of players at least that can hold the ball, retain the ball and get us up the pitch, would be really useful. But other than that, I think it's looking good. So unbelievable. Didn't expect a win today. 5 on the bounce. Fantastic effort from everybody in the club. And at last, an absolutely fitting tribute to John Burleson, because how bloody sad and gut-wrenching was that at the beginning of the season when we lost him, and probably didn't really realise how lucky we were to have him until we'd actually lost him. And all the relevant tribute games, etc., were fucking appalling, weren't they? We just didn't pay him enough respect with those, but we have with the return of Neil and these last 5 games, these last 12 games, getting us out the shit and getting us safety. So, Yeah, very happy. Going to go out now and celebrate my wedding anniversary, 7th of May. For those of you that remember, that was the day Millwall were promoted to the old First Division Premiership as it is now for the first ever time. We were already promoted at Hull. I managed to get to that game, which was the Monday before my wedding on the Saturday. God knows why I booked the wedding that day, but we did. So I'm going out, very happy man tonight, and looking forward to seeing what we do in the close season. And like I've said before, I have a lot of trust and faith in Bomber. I think look over his record, including Bart. He's brought in some really good signings over the years. So I'm thinking that will be the case again. We might get the odd duck egg, but as I say, not many managers get 100% right. So, yeah, listen, once again, well done, Nick. Thanks for your show. Got your text this week. Much appreciated. You're doing a great job. Enjoy your break. You deserve it. But I'm sure you'll be chomping at the bit to come back all guns blazing in August when we'll all be looking forward to seeing Millwall back at the Den. And hopefully even your bird shit might be cleared up on your seat for your return in August. So have a great break. A big hello to all your dear listeners. Love all the regulars who phone in and the new ones. From all over the world. It's absolutely amazing. So well done, guys, and have a great summer. And come on, you Lions. All the best. Bye now.
Well said, Steve. I love that story of the wedding anniversary going to Hull the day before you're getting married. I think that's a top Millwall story there, Steve. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm alone in saying this, listeners. I think, there were moments earlier this season when the Joe Edwards experiment was starting to come apart at the seams, and before that when Gary Rowett was producing the most dull dishwater football that we've seen in many a long moon. I think I wasn't alone in thinking I can't wait for this season to be over. They're walking away from the Den on too many occasions, having been bored, stiff and beaten. And strange as it sounds now, I wish it was going to carry on, because I'm going to miss it now that it's finished, because of the impact of one man. Both Angelo and Steve have referred to that man. Everyone's been referring to that man, from Harry at the start through the whole show. That's the impact that Neil Harris has made. Angelo made a good point about him being a new Neil Harris. He's been away from the club for 5 years, and I think clearly he's absorbed football in its widest sense at the moment. I do believe he's come back to us with different ideas. Proof of the pudding is going to be what we see over the summertime. Everyone's talking about recruitment, and I'm not going to disagree with anyone. He's got a massive summer of making, hopefully, the majority of good decisions. We'll see what we get. But I do think that Neil has come back with a different approach, and we've all said it. I'll say it one last time. I can't think of a better man to be in charge of our club at such a critical phase of transition, because what we want to do is continue to exist in the Championship. I don't think there's any other place we want to be, bar an outsider's shot at the big time, the top six. Winning this league now in the modern money zone is probably going to be, unless fortune really smiles upon us, is always going to be a little bit out of touch. But the playoffs offer a route where a decent team with a good headwind of home support and the momentum that only the Den can generate are in with a shot, and that would be a massive achievement if that can ever come to pass. So, given that those are the stakes that are on the table, dropping back into League One like Birmingham have, Gary Rowett has now, is the dead zone. We want to be looking at the top half of the table with a shot at the top six. And, a lot of positive messages on this show. And it's nice to be able to finish the season with a lot of positivity. I'm with you. I'm really looking forward to August. So I want to say thank you to Angelo and Steve and everyone that's contributed to this show today, and indeed all the other shows across the whole season, the post-match conversations, the voice notes, and just everyone that's wished the show well. What I always wanted to do with this was to try and achieve a position where people tune into this podcast and get a sense of wherever you are, however far life has taken you away from Bermondsey, but you can listen in and get a sense of Millwall, the humour, the drama, the tragedy, and the good and the bad, everything. You know, we all know what we're talking about. It's a cocktail of everything, isn't it, Millwall? But ultimately, we keep coming back week in, week out, and we want to enjoy ourselves, and that's what I hope this show taps into. And it's such a wonderful thing. Some of the messages today, have really touched me. And I'm going to finish by just giving a shout out again to Jamie in Australia, regular caller to the show. And I've never met you, Jamie, but I want to send my personal best wishes to you, and I know everyone else will do too. So there we are. Probably won't do much across the summer. I'm going to take it easy for a bit. I might do the odd thing. I might get bored. I know what I'm like, listeners. You've got to know yourself. As Shakespeare said that. Know thyself. And I'll probably, after a couple of weeks, I'm going to get bored of doing stuff. So you might see the odd thing crop up from time to time across the summertime. It'd be nice not having the discipline of having to produce a show on a Sunday. But I'm equally looking forward to the discipline of producing the shows on the Sunday when August restarts. So probably for the moment, that's going to be that from Achtung Millwall, with the odd odds and sods across the summertime here and there. So keep your lug holes open, as Kenneth Williams would have said once upon a time. We're going to close now. There's only one man I can close these voicemail shows with. It's the one and only man of mystery. Is it Theopathetes putting on a voice? It's Bobby T. Thank you for listening, dear listeners. Until next season, Arrivederci Mill. Take it away, Bob.
Millwall, Bobby T. Nick Hart, the Ghost, Casper, the Belgium legend. 1-0, boys. Happy summer holidays. See you in August. Casper, you won't be there.
Achtung, Millwall.